Hello, good morning. Welcome to Joy News Desk. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kukumlemle. Coming up this morning, Office of the President issues warning to the Clerk of Parliament to desist from transmitting the Anti-LGBTQ bill to the President for assent until matters before the Supreme Court are resolved. Also, Education Ministry promises to fix the acute shortage of food at various senior high schools, cited in Joy News' expose, Empty Plates, the free SHS promise.
It assures parents, students, and the general public that we are running a system fraught with human interest. So even when they are challenging in this, the assurance is that we will go and solve.
Plus, Ghana to now explore the use of satellite services as we enter day 6 of the internet disruptions after the damage of the undersea cables.
Networks. OneWeb has already been licensed. Starlink is in the process of being licensed. And other operators are being encouraged to land in Ghana. We must also invest in operationalizing RASCOM, the Regional African Satellite Company.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Let's settle for the details. It's been 5 days since undersea internet cables were cut, plunging the entire country into an internet blackout. 5 days on, the country is still yet to fully recover. NDC MP for Ningo Prampram and Deputy Ranking Member on Communications Committee, Samuel Nate George, says the difficulty currently being faced by the country is due to poor regulatory oversight by the National Communications Authority. Following the blackout, only 80 was not affected because it had adequate redundancy, something MTN and Telecel do not have. More from Sam George shortly, but Communications Minister Eslo Wusu says to forestall a future occurrence, the NCA is working to license satellite internet service providers to reduce the country's reliance on undersea internet cables.
Initial remote investigations by all affected cable providers have given them the approximate locations where the cables have been damaged. To commence the repairs, these cable providers need permits from the authorities in Côte d'Ivoire and or Senegal. Their vessels will then be assigned to retrieve the necessary spares required for the repair work before sailing to the fault location to conduct the physical repair work. The affected section of the submarine cable will have to be pulled up from the seabed onto the ship where the repair vessel, where it will be spliced by skilled technicians to complete the repair. It will then be tested for any defects, and which will be fixed and then lowered back to the seabed. This process, I'm told, might take between 1 and 2 weeks for the actual repairs, while it will take about 2 to 3 weeks of transit time for the vessel to pick up the spares and then travel from Europe to West Africa once the vessel is mobilized. And that is why the NCA indicated that it will take a minimum period of about 5 weeks for full services to be restored. With regard to the use of satellites as an alternative, it is important to note that the bandwidth of a satellite backup for network operators cannot replace the capacity that has been lost due to the outage. Satellite backup for consumers is more feasible. However, the cost is relatively much higher than the terrestrial solutions. Immediate initiatives that the government will undertake is that we will license satellite gateway earth stations, London rights, and satellite earth station networks. OneWeb has already been licensed. Starlink is in the process of being licensed. And other operators are being encouraged to land in Ghana. We must also invest in operationalizing RASCOM, the Regional African Satellite Company, instead of each country going it alone.
But according to Sam George, all other countries which face the challenge have all significantly recovered except Ghana because of what he describes as poor oversight by the NCA.
Mr. Speaker, I hold the view that we are where we are simply because the regulator that works under the minister failed to do their job. The responsibility rests with the regulator. This is not about another country and force majeure. A regulator doing its job would have put in place the mechanisms and the redundancies that would have allowed us to be prepared for this instance. Mr. Speaker, the cut happened off the coast of Côte d'Ivoire. Côte d'Ivoire was the most impacted country on Thursday. As we speak today, Côte d'Ivoire's recovery is ahead of Ghana, simply because their regulator had put in place the right mechanisms. In the case of Haiti, and if you ask what Côte d'Ivoire is doing, they're using MOVE, the MOVE operator cable. They've immediately allowed all the other operators to piggyback on MOVE. When you speak about the success of Haiti, Haiti is simply able to carry traffic because they have redundancy using the Nigerian link. But is that not supposed to be a prerequisite for all the other operators in the country? Who is supposed to monitor that? It is the regulator. So if the regulator has slept on his job, and today we are found in this position, and then we want to raise our hands up in the air and say, oh, other countries that were affected have recovered and are recovering faster than Ghana.
The Office of the President has issued a stern warning to the Clerk of Parliament to cease and desist from transmitting the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill to the President for assent until the matters before the Supreme Court are resolved. The Clerk to Parliament on Thursday, 14th March, attempted to submit the authenticated Anti-LGBTQ bill to the President for his assent. He was refused. The Presidency explains it has been advised by the Attorney General that because of the pendency of 2 suits against the bill, it should not take any action with regards to the bill. A letter written to the Clerk of Parliament and signed by its Secretary to the President, Nana Santebedieto, reads, and I'll be sharing that shortly with you on our screens. And I'll also be joined by one of the sponsors of the bill, Emmanuel Bedra. So I'll be sharing that statement with you shortly. But first, let's speak with Emmanuel Bedra, who is a sponsor of the bill. Mr. Bedra, how do you react to this warning from the Presidency?
Good morning.
There seems to be a problem with our lines this morning. We'll try and get Mr. Bedra to be back on the line. We'll be sharing that statement with you shortly. That statement will be on your screen shortly. We'll be sharing with you. But also, Bedra would also be joining us shortly with more on this one. Right now, let's get on to other stories whilst we wait to get him back for this conversation. Flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has promised to continue to the party's agenda of building a university in each region of the country. The 6 new regions created under the NPP's administration will be the prime areas of target. President Mahama, speaking at a town hall meeting, says the previous NDC administration ensured the previous 10 regions had universities established to increase access. Nana Aljima is touring the Oti region with the former president and has filed this report.
The Building Ghana tour of the NDC has so far visited 15 of the 16 regions of the country. Opinions of all professional groups in the areas visited so far have been taken to feed into the party's manifesto for the next election. The NDC flag bearer was well received by the Buem constituency, which remains a stronghold of the NDC. Chief of Jasekan, Nana Eje Tetekpasi Brantio VII, expressed worry about the neglect of the area by the government.
Region ya kafi ye haya na starting here nanso enne ye mfa ye nya hwi mesremo Say MPP naba me ka kire won. NDC aba nso no me ka kire won. No mu di yan edi agro dodo. Yesrɛ mo, muma yan respect yan penyimfo a ye wo wa ha.
A plea of the traditional ruler for a university in the area if the NDC is successful in the elections was well received. Mr. Mahama says the plea falls within the plans of the party.
Ose Muhia University ewo ha. Na NDC policy. Okay, a free Prof. Samuel Sabreso.
It has always been the policy of the NDC to build a university in every region. So under Professor Mills, we'll build universities in regions that did not have. We built one in the Volta region, Eastern, Brong Ahafo, and others without a university. In the 2020 manifesto of the NDC, there was a promise to build universities in the newly created regions. By the grace of God, if we start building the universities, Jasikan will be a suitable place to locate one.
Regions for say yate omwa afe omuni university wo hobia yebesi university e was our regions no mo na sanyame adom na university na ba wo hwa Jasikan ha na wo hwe se na ha city a esefata se university beba ha.
Meanwhile, the NDC flag bearer is rallying support for the upcoming voter registration exercise.
Yenina yen share yesapo munsuo e be say I was say yetra 7th December and sana nyoma yake.
Let us all go in search of our voter cards and keep it in a safe place in anticipation of the 7th December election. Young people who have attained the age of 18 must ensure that they register in May, where the EC will start another exercise. If you have a Ghana card, carry it to the registration center or go with some guarantors.
Ghana card, nipa do omo Ghana card na omundi wechi no munkodi dance say we Ghana ni na ya tro within voters register no madam say.
The NDC flag bearer subsequently visited the Biakoye constituency. The first day of the tour ended at the Krache East and West constituencies of the Oti region.
The Chief Executive Officer of Buipa Authority, Samuel Akufo-Addo, has revealed the Angloga district has the highest wind speed capable of generating electricity that could be fed into the national grid. This breakthrough, according to him, is set to revolutionize the way renewable energy is harnessed and utilized in the country. Mr. Jamesi was addressing attendees at a ceremony to commission a 6-unit classroom block constructed by the Buipa Authority for the Angloga DA Basic School.
The newly constructed 6-unit 2-story classroom block, a modern and spacious facility, is poised to transform the learning experience for the students of Angloga Avete DA Basic School. Complete with the state-of-the-art amenities, the block provides a conducive space for teaching and learning, ensuring that students have access to quality education in a comfortable environment. Speaking at the ceremony, the CEO for the Buipa Authority, Honorable Samuel Kofi Ahia-Vejameshi, noted that Buipa has the mandate to develop all the renewable energy sources in Ghana, and that a study in Ghana has established that the Angloga district has the highest wind speed capable of generating electricity.
Buipa has the mandate to develop renewable energy sources in Ghana, including wind energy. The study of wind speeds in Ghana has established that the Anglo district has the highest wind speed capable of generating electricity into the national grid. In view of this, the Buipa Authority will explore to develop this God-given wind resource in this district. This will make the district self-sufficient in power and also give employment to the citizens of this area. As we commission this facility today, I urge each member of this community to take charge in safeguarding and maintaining it for the benefit of all. Let us unite in our commitment to nurture the potential of every child and contribute to building a brighter future for generations to come.
Seth Yomaru is the DCE for the Angloga district.
The completion of this 6-unit classroom block equipped with auxiliary facility is not just a construction achievement. It symbolizes our dedication to enhancing the learning environment for our students. As we celebrate the successful completion of this project, we humbly plead for the provision of modern classroom furniture and computer for the establishment of computer laboratory for the school. This will surely enhance and complement the learning environment for our students, and just like Oliver Twitch, we can always ask for more.
The chairman for the NPP, Mr. McAfee Kofi Wanya, commended the CEO for the Bill Power Authority and staff for their thoughtfulness towards the people of Anglo, and added that the ruling NPP is delivering on its promises.
What we are seeing here today is as a result of somebody's desire. That's the CEO's desire to see something happen here. And this is what we say when we say politics. Development is what politics is. The human infrastructure development, the infrastructure development is what politics is. And I want to believe that the NPP is delivering on their social contract with you, irrespective of the fact that the vote we garner here does not commensurate with that which you give to the NDC.
The Angloga Director of Education, Dominic Yao Danado, was grateful for the kind gesture and promised to make sure that it is well maintained.
Having my eyes on this structure, one of the best in almost all over the districts in the water region. The purpose of education is to develop the mind, the physical aspect, the social aspect, the academic aspect of the child. And one of the factors that will enhance this is the school infrastructure. We are so much grateful to the Chief Executive Officer of WIPA Authority for giving us this nice edifice.
The commissioning of the 6-unit classroom block stands as a shining example of how collaboration between corporations and communities can drive positive change and create lasting impact. Ivy Satoji, Troy News, Angloga.
We can now go back to our earlier story of the Office of the President that has issued a stern warning to the clerk to Parliament to cease and desist from transmitting the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill to the President for assent until the matters before the Supreme Court are resolved. The clerk to Parliament on Thursday, 14th March, attempted to submit the authenticated anti-LGBTQ bill to the President for the assent but he was refused. The presidency explains it has been advised by the Attorney General that because of the pendency of 2 suits against the bill, it should not take any action with regards to the bill. A letter written to the Clerk of Parliament and signed by Secretary to the President, Nana Santi-Bediatu, reads, "It has come to the attention of this office that while the President and other senior officials of the presidency were at Pejiase for a cabinet retreat on Thursday, you attempted to submit the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill 2024 to Jubilee House for the President to signify his assent on otherwise to the bill." It continues to say that this office is aware of 2 pending applications of an order of interlocutory injunction, both filed on March 7, 2024 in the Supreme Court, in Dr. Amanda Odoi versus the Speaker of Parliament and Attorney General, and Richard Sky versus Parliament of Ghana and the Attorney General, respectively. It now says that to restrain youths and Parliament from transmitting the bill to the President, and also to restrain the President from signifying his assent to the bill pending the final determination of the matter. That statement continues and it says that it is warning the Clerk to Parliament. In fact, it says the Attorney General, by the letter dated 18th March, has informed that he has been duly served with both applications and has advised the President not to take any step in relation to the bill until the matters raised by the suits are determined by the Supreme Court. Now, it says that it is warning the Clerk to Parliament to desist from bringing that letter again. So it says it would be improper for you to transmit the bill to the President, and equally improper for this office to receive the bill until the Supreme Court determines the matters raised in the suit. I've been joined by Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Akufo-Addo, who's been monitoring this for us. Akufo-Addo, what more do we know about this?
So we know that it had taken some weeks for the Clerk to Parliament to complete his authentication of the bill. In fact, watchers and the sponsors of the bill, Sam George and Co., had been pressing the Clerk to Parliament to expedite action on that bill and do same by way of transmitting same to the President to sign. What we now understand is that the Clerk to Parliament dispatched officers from Parliament to submit same to Parliament last Thursday. Like you rightly read from the Presidency's letter to him, the Clerk to Parliament, this bill was rejected by the President, saying that they are unable to receive the bill because, according to them, there is a pending suit in the Supreme Court, 2 of them, which prohibits the President from taking any action. That is the advice the Attorney General Godfred Adame has proffered to the President on this specific matter. And so bills that were authenticated by the Clerk and sent to the Presidency has been rejected. They're back in the House. And so MPs are quite furious about that. In fact, we've been trying to gain some reaction. I've been speaking to former Minority Leader Harry Rediso, who says he's going to raise this matter on the floor as soon as Parliament starts sitting today, and that he believes there is separation of powers. The Clerk to Parliament has a job to do. He can do that job, and the Presidency cannot sit at Jubilee House and determine for the Clerk to Parliament what to do of this job. We do not know if the Speaker of Parliament himself, Aban Bagben, will be in the chair today. He is quite very vocal about this situation. I will have some strong words to say about this. But generally, the consensus in Parliament is that the President is simply exceeding the bounds of what is allowed to do by law. The Constitution is clear by Article 106. If the President decides not to sign the bill, he has 7 days to inform Parliament why he does not intend to sign the bill. And so the President, by receiving the bill, can now write to Parliament and say that I'm unable to sign because of these 2 actions that are currently pending before the Supreme Court. The legal views that have been expressed in Parliament by the persons I've spoken to is that it is not within the President's remit to claim that he won't even receive the bill, and that the President's action and the Presidency's action clearly offends the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana. MPs are quite curious about that. Already, lead sponsor of the bill, Sam George, have put out a tweet on Twitter, X, formerly Twitter, lamenting the decision of the President and saying that the President clearly cannot be trusted on matters like this. So we expect that this will become quite a big issue on the floor when proceedings start any moment from now. A lot of MPs have taken their seats already. We expect that whoever will be presiding over the House will walk in any moment from now, gavel the House in session, and then these issues will take center stage.
Kwekwa Asante, how are the sponsors of the bill reacting to this?
Well, first, some judge has put out a tweet saying that the president is acting unconstitutionally and that the president's conduct clearly shows that he cannot be trusted on this matter. We've heard also from people like Roxy Nelson, who are also not excited about the way the president is conducting this. And we expect them to formally speak to the media any moment from now on this latest action that have been taken by the president. There are those who are advising them to already also go to the Supreme Court to get the president to act on this bill. But the concern is that they do not have so much time. And some of them benchmark some of the decisions of the Supreme Court in the Domilabo case, for instance, and they say that it took the presidency so long to deal with this matter. And so if they go to court now, they are probably be giving the president some leeway on this. And so they want to use Parliament as a political tool to pressurize the president to act on this. Whether or not the president will agree to their demands is something that we're looking forward in the coming days. But this will be such a big conversation because the legal opinions are divided. There are those who believe that the president is simply acting unconstitutionally.
Kwekwa Asante is our parliamentary affairs correspondent. Definitely we'll hear more from the sponsors of this bill from Parliament in our subsequent bulletins. Right now I've been joined by lawyer Kweku Pencil. He's a private legal practitioner. Grateful for your time. What does all of this mean for the bill, which is currently waiting the assent of the president? Hello, Mr. Pencil. Right, we lost Kweku Pencil. They'll try and get him back. Apologies for the problems we're having with our lines this morning. I'm told that lawyer Kweku Pencil is back. Grateful for your time. What does all of this mean for the anti-LGBTQ bill, which is currently awaiting the assent of the president? Hello, Mr. Pencil.
Hello?
Kindly unmute for me. Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, what's your question? I didn't hear it well.
Right, so I believe you've been following the letter that is coming from the presidency warning the clerk to Parliament to desist from transmitting the LGBTQ bill to the president for assent pending the two cases that it's mentioned in its statement. I'm asking, what does all of this mean for the bill that is waiting presidential assent?
Under our constitution, every bill that is passed by Parliament ought to receive the assent of the president before it becomes a law. And the law provides that if the president refuses to assent to it, Parliament may have authority or have the power under the constitution by a majority vote to override the president's refusal to assent to the bill. That's the power of veto. The veto is the president who says, I will not. Now, what has happened in this situation is that the president has given a reason for not assenting to the bill, namely the fact that the matter is before the Supreme Court, and in the opinion of the president or his advisors, it would be well if everybody waited for the Supreme Court to declare its position on the bill so that the president may have his way very clear. I think it makes a lot of sense. I'm talking about political sense if the president does or take the steps that he has taken to await the Supreme Court, because eventually, once the matter before the Supreme Court has to make a decision one way or the other. And what the Supreme Court says would eventually and inevitably determine the course of that piece of legislation before all of us. So personally, I find nothing wrong in that position that the president has taken. I noticed that a lot of the problems that people have with the position that the president has taken is the fact that he has not been consistent in upholding that kind of position. In other words, there have been times in the past that bills had been passed and being challenged in the Supreme Court, that the president, in his wisdom and constitutional power and authority, has gone ahead and assented to it. So that's the kind of thing that people are now looking at. But please, for the sake of principled positions and so forth and so on, At the end of the day, if other people believe that this piece of legislation ought to have a look by the Supreme Court, I think the president acts wisely by at least allowing the Supreme Court to give his decision. That, of course, does not take away the power and the authority of the president to assent to it, regardless of what the Supreme Court says. And I do not find much credit in even the excuse that they are trying to find. I just want to put it this way. It's a politically convenient excuse for the president to give to everybody the fact that because the matter is before the Supreme Court, we may as well await the Supreme Court decision. But for practical purposes, I mean, it is not an inevitable position that the president is entitled to hold. He's got the power, he's got the authority to assent to it. But either way, if he has taken that position, I will consider it as fair. At the end of the day, it doesn't take maybe more than 1 year for the Supreme Court to come to a conclusion one way or the other. So I think it is only fair that the president has taken a position, and I will not fault him very much, except that people are looking at the past, I mean, what has happened in the past, to judge him now. But that cannot be, for political purposes, I cannot find anything wrong with that. So that's my view of this matter.
I'm
As
grateful.
A matter of law, yes.
Grateful for your time this morning. That's Lawyer Akufo Pencil on what he thinks on what has happened on the Anti-LGBTQ bill, which is currently awaiting the signature of the president, which also has attracted 2 suits in the court. Let's take a break on Joy News Desk. When we return, we'll bring you more. Welcome back to Joy News Desk. To the rest of our story, the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer David Akufo-Addo, says plans are far advanced to introduce an initiative dubbed Passenger Manifest, which aims at keeping records of every Ghanaian passenger in all the commercial transports. The move is expected to help identify victims in the event of any accident. The move comes days after the fatal accident that claimed the lives of 21 persons on the Joason-Koko Road last Saturday. I've been joined by Engineer David Akufo-Addo himself for more on this in the studio. Grateful that you were able to make it. First, let's talk about what has necessitated this move, Engineer.
Yeah, thank you very much. I must say we're grateful for this opportunity. Indeed, when it comes to issues related to road traffic crashes, injuries and deaths, these are times that we need to be engaging the public to understand and appreciate the risk we all take on the roads as we move from our origins to our destinations. We have just witnessed a crash, a fatal crash, as you said, from Koko, Konongo, Joaso, the environment, the Praso River Junction. I happened to be there myself, and what I saw, that the situation did not warrant a wrongful overtaking, as was done by the other driver that ended up killing 21 of our compatriots, Ghanaians. In actual sense, the road, the corridor, very straight. You can see the alignment is such that wherever you are, approaching from the north or the south, you can see clearly ahead of you. So it was unnecessary. What actually led him to do this wrongful overtaking? Now, beyond that, we picked all these victims, those who were injured and the dead ones, and moved them to the various hospitals around the area. Unfortunately, the injuries were so severe that it was very difficult to identify any of them. Even if it happens to be a family member, you'll find it very difficult. Because these are buses that have metals and, kind of materials hitting each other head-on. With the level, the impact was such that it really demolished many things in the vehicle, to the extent that bodies were mutilated to a large extent. Now, we are learning from the aviation industry, where anytime you and I should board an aircraft traveling across to international destinations, data is taken of you, your profile, the entire profile of your personality is taken, your photos, your videos, and all that, including your name and the rest of that. What it means is that should there be any unfortunate incident moving across in the skies and there should be a crash, you must be known. Your family members must know what has actually happened and who was on board. And it is happening. Yep. Even if there are 200 of you, everyone will be identified. And I think this is where we are coming from. There have been occasions in Ghana where crashes have led to more than 30, 40, 50 deaths at a time. Some of them, they even get bent beyond recognition. Family members may be at home expecting that their member will travel and come back home, especially children and the entire family, and they wouldn't know. We find it very difficult making announcements through the media, telling people to come and identify, and if you have any relative who's traveled and for 3 days you haven't heard of him, it's not reported to the other side and has also not come back home, then there might be something wrong on the road. So come to this very hospital and come and help us identify. It happened in Cape Coast Takoradi Road the last time, 2020, thereabout, where about 34 persons died. It also happened in Konongo. And you see, all these things somehow happen around the January, February, March, somehow there. And you find families traveling from all over to come and identify them. There are some of them you cannot even identify because they're burnt to ashes. So they just pick some of the ashes and then somehow go to their villages and bury the ashes, just representing that they have done the needful. Mm-hmm. I think this is not the best practice. Yeah. The best practice is that let us know whoever is or was on the bus as it crashed. Okay. And if we are able to do that, then we can identify where they are coming from, where they belong to, and who is perhaps the next of kin, or somebody that he himself has identified or indicated to us that when this happens, call this personality. Quickly they will move in and come and help us, because otherwise sometimes we are handicapped. And the hospital is also so stressed to the extent that getting bodies into the morgues, you find no space, and we had to place them on the floor, walking around them, and then the entire place becomes a bit chaotic. I think that's the reasoning behind it.
So how do you intend to achieve this? How do you intend, because at the airports, for instance, people come with their passports and what have you, but these are people on boarding commercial vehicles. How do you intend to get their records all together to achieve this?
Yes, currently we started a pilot a couple of months ago, last year, and we are still doing it. If you go to Kaneshi Station, the New Plant Station, and some of the terminals, you get there, and then we ask you of your name, where you're coming from, where you're going, and then you give us the contact, your personal contact, and then the contact of any person you think we should call, in case there should be a crash. In fact, in the beginning it was very tough, because you know Ghanaians, as if they do not want to hear a crash at all. But it is something that could happen anyway. I think people are beginning to understand and appreciate. So now they are giving us the figures. They are giving us the data. We are compiling the data. The good thing is that we are doing it electronically. So once you give us the information freely and openly, we gather them into an electronic data. And as you move along, we also monitor the movement. Currently, we have installed what we call trackers in most of the commercial vehicles. VIP, VVIP, Metro Mass, Ayalo, all those ones are now, in the next couple of months, will install the devices. Mm-hmm. What it means is that even as you are on board, we are monitoring your movement in real time, from your origin to your destination. What we are trying to do is that we want to protect human life as best as possible. So we'll be monitoring the driver's behavior and then monitoring the way he's driving in real time, so that we try to prevent something before it happens. They all take the risk. Now, it's a matter of now minimizing the risk before we can do the protection. Now, if you have this data, at any point in time, whoever travels, anytime you travel to somewhere in Ghana, your data will pop up. We will have your profile. And I think this is one very good thing that is going to help all of us, because passengers are people who travel all the time. We're going to go to Easter, and you know the number of people that are going to move around. We don't know anybody. We don't know where they come from, where they hail from, and all what happens on the road. But this time, if we happen to know you, I think it will give us some leverage to be able to monitor your movement at any point in time.
I think some time ago you were advocating for the dualization of our roads. Where are we with that?
I think we've gone very far. As I speak to you, Accra and Nsawam to Apidra is already done, especially Nsawam to Apidra. And trust me, for the past 2 years, when this particular corridor was open to traffic after the dualization, you and I have not come across any head-on collision. And that is exactly why we advocated for. Now, the same thing is happening at Nkoko bypass. Now, the advocacy, you know how far it's taken us. Now, government has taken it upon itself to dualize between Osino, somewhere around Osino, there's a bypass, Enyinem, Enyinesini, and then Konongo. Works have already started, and if you go there, you can see it in real time that dualization is gradually catching up the entire Accra-Kumasi corridor. There is also some dualization that have started on the Aflao stretch, another one on the Winneba Road. So, which means that the advocacy is yielding some positive results. Government is listening, and our money has been voted for the construction to take off. If this is done, trust me, issues about head-on collision will be a thing of the past. Because it's a best practice across the international world everywhere, one of the best ways of eliminating completely head-on collision is to dualize your roads. It's been too long for Ghana to come this far, but I think that initiating it from where we are, in the next 3 years, we're going to see a big change in the road infrastructure sector.
Engineer David Akufo-Addo, I'm grateful for your time, and we'll be monitoring how this whole new initiative goes so that we help reduce the carnages on our roads. And that will be it for the moment. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll bring you the very latest from the world of business.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. As part of the 60th anniversary celebration of Key Soap, Unilever Ghana PLC has launched a Mansan Achede promotion to reward consumers having remained loyal to the brand. From cash prizes to consolation prizes, the promotion will ensure consumers are an integral part of the special anniversary celebration. Managing Director of Unilever Ghana PLC, George Osu-Ansan, was speaking at the launch in Tema. Here's more in this report.
In 1963, multi-purpose bar soap, Key Soap, was introduced onto the Ghanaian market. In the last 6 decades, consumers have borne witness to the attributes as a mansampo through affordability and value. Apart from taking care of household needs, Key Soap as a brand sponsored events such as the concert party years back, which entertained Ghanaians and served as a platform to help prepare budding artists for the future. As part of the 60th anniversary, Unilever Ghana PLC has launched Key Amansan Achede promotion, a special way to reward consumers, creating moments of joy and celebration. Managing Director of Unilever Ghana PLC, George Osu-Ansan, says the anniversary marks a new beginning for Key Soap.
Today marks a new beginning, a moment to rekindle the essence of Key Soap and to forge deeper connections with the brand into the future. Thank you all most sincerely for being part of this journey. Together, let's embrace the future with enthusiasm, not just the future for Key Soap, the future for all of us, be it in our personal lives, in our family lives, in our relationships, just as Key has done over the years and will continue to do, making sure that we are in each other's keeper and we are caring for each other and ourselves. Let's look forward to many years of Key Soap being a trusted companion in our lives. As always, Key Soap's promise is to keep our clothes clean and fresh as new.
All right, you can get up to date on all the day's latest stories on myjoyonline.com/business. The news returns after this.
And as I draw the curtains this morning, my name is Aisha Rhyme. Log on to myjoyonline.com. That's more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.